Hello, my name is Pavel, welcome back to my channel. Throughout my childhood, I watched a lot of formative videos, and I feel like they definitely impacted my brain in a negative way. We're talking things like meat spin, one guy, one jar, two girls, one cup. If you know, you know. I remember being like 6 and my friend came up to me in primary school and was like, hey, have you watched meat spin? It's like this really cool car video. And I was like, no, I've never heard of meat spin. And hey, you have to give me a break here because I did not speak English properly at all. I had just moved to Ireland and I was like, okay, fine, I'll look it up. And I was like, meat spin on Google. And what I saw traumatized little 6 or 7-year-old me, and I have not been the same since. So growing up, I watched a lot of movies and heard about a lot of disgusting movies. One of those movies was Human Centipede. And I remember hanging out with my friends and I was like, oh, should we watch Human Centipede? And they were like, no, it's meant to be awful. It's meant to be terrifying. It's meant to be absolutely disgusting. And I was like, okay, whatever. So the next week comes around. We actually watched Human Centipede and we were all disgusted. I don't really remember the age we were, but I think it was like 12 or 13. And yeah, I have not watched Human Centipede since. I've been told that Human Centipede 2 is meant to be absolutely disgusting, way worse than the first movie. So today I'm gonna watch Human Centipede 2 for some reason. I don't really remember much about the first Human Centipede. All I remember is, well, if you know what Human Centipede is about, then that's good. If you don't know what it's about, maybe that's good too. But let me demonstrate with my hands. So, person, body, person, mouth connected to back, if you know what I mean. I don't think I can actually even say it in the video, but you know, it's a centipede. Centipede is a centipede, but humans. By watching this, I want to know, have I been desensitized by watching a lot of weird and disgusting movies? A lot of these movies I've watched on my channel, so I want to see, is the Human Centipede 2 actually going to freak me out? Or how am I going to react? Because I'm very, very curious. I want to know, is there going to be more or less gore? And I just want to know what's going to happen. Is it going to be absolutely disgusting? Who knows? I'm going to go watch Human Centipede 2 now, and I will check in with you after the movie. Wish me luck. Bye-bye. It is currently 10 a.m. and I have just closed all my curtains, so the room is kind of dark to watch Human Centipede 2. I don't know what I'm doing with my life, but I guess this is it. It feels weird to be drinking brown liquid after watching Human Centipede 2 because everything just reminds me of a lot of people in like this scrapyard and kind of like this weird warehouse being, you know, together and walking around and seeing a lot of brown. Yeah, you get the point, but I'm not. I feel like I'm skipping ahead. Let's talk about Human Centipede 2 because I just finished watching and oh my gosh. Yeah, it was something. It was something. I feel like this is going to be very difficult for me to explain certain scenes because, well, if you know what Human Centipede is about, you know why some of the aspects of this movie are going to be very difficult for me to describe. So I'm going to be using my hands and like my body, not in that way. I'm going to be using my hands to maybe communicate and explain some things that happen in this movie. But let's get right into it. This movie starts off very directly. There is no fat on this movie at all. It is 90 minutes. And from the very first second of this movie, we see clips from Human Centipede 1. And oh my gosh, I forgot what that movie was like because I watched that when I was like, I don't know, I think I was like 14, and it definitely scared me. So kind of seeing that made me think back to me being 14 and wanting to puke watching that movie, which is great. At the same time, I didn't really feel too squeamish watching this. I was watching this like, oh, this is fine, and I think that kind of proves the fact that I have definitely been desensitized from disgusting things as I've grown older, and I've been watching a lot of horrible things online, movies, videos, and that's probably not good for my brain, but hey, it's fine. We're fine. So this movie has incredible casting, but before I talk about the casting, I feel like I should tell you what Human Centipede 2 is about. It's about a man who is a nighttime security guard who is called Martin, and Martin is very, very obsessed with Human Centipede 1, the movie, and he's like, he sits in his work and he is obsessed with this movie and he's like, I'm gonna recreate this, but he's obviously unhinged. He is very strange, and that's what I mean by the casting is perfect. This character of Martin, if you saw this man working in a parking place at night and he was walking around and sweating like mad, you would be, you know, if you saw this person, you would definitely be quite terrified of him. So the casting is absolutely perfect because he plays this very obsessive, creepy dude so perfectly, and I feel like that movie, this movie gets a tick for that. This movie definitely gets a tick for that, but this kind of falls down whenever we see our first couple. He sees a couple and he attacks them because, you know, he's like kidnapping people and he wants to make his own human centipede with 12 people. He takes them and they have some awful acting, the couple, because Martin himself, he does not talk. Martin has not much to say. I think the only words he uses throughout this movie are or so it's more like a when he's feeding his own centipede. But anyway, so we have some horrific acting, and then seconds later we see like where maybe like the budget was definitely slacking with this movie, because we see Martin chuck these people into a car and he drives away, and as he's driving we have this like awful not even CGI, just like this overlay of what's meant to be rain. It looks awful. So whenever you see like the horrific acting, and then whenever you see this awful rain, you're like, oh god, I hope this movie isn't just going to be like terrifying and horrific, but also like very low budget and garbage. But it's not really like that. The amateur filmmaking makes us feel extremely real, because I don't know if this is possible in real life. I don't want to know if this is possible in real life, but if it was, I feel like this is kind of like how it would look, except it would not be black and white. But the black and white of this movie works extremely well, because it adds to the bleakness of the story, to kind of like the nasty atmosphere that is created within the story. And it is set in England while it's rainy, and if you've been to England or the UK or whatever, you know how disgusting and just grey and like depressing everything looks, and the black and white kind of showcases that to you. But at the same time, the black and white doesn't let you focus on like, oh, the colors are nice there, oh, the colors there. It leaves it to your imagination, because this story just wants to focus on how disgusting and strange this man Martin is. The first tiny little complaint I have for this movie is we do not see a lot of things for the middle part of the movie. At the start we see a little bit from the first movie, and then we see Martin attacking people, and you know, for a movie that's meant to be all disgusting and gory and blah blah blah, we do not see disgusting gore, him like doing what he's doing to people. You know, a bit of like or actually no, sorry, he does. That's how he gets people to, he grabs a golf club and he just goes like, I guess that's meant to anti-life people. That was the one thing I feel like I wanted to see more. But saying that, I know I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Towards the end of the movie, whenever he is forming his centipede, we see things that genuinely did make me go like, I was trying to watch the screen and I was like, ugh. Especially the kneecaps. You'll probably remember that. And there, just whenever it comes to like knives and scissors and that sort of stuff, there is something that I do really like about this movie. I feel like we get actual character insight, unlike Serbian film, which I feel like we didn't really understand the character at all. Here, I feel like there's a very clear intention. Holy shit. Oh my god. The Human Centipede 2 just started playing. I can't show you the screen on my laptop, and that scared... Oh my god, that scared the fucking shit out of me. What the... Okay, that just started playing on my laptop, and they gave me a massive jump scare, and my heart. Oh my god. Okay. Back to the review. As I was saying, I feel like in this movie we really understand the psyche of Martin. We really understand him as a character, kind of not empathize with him or sympathize with him. I feel like we get more of an insight into him, and I feel like that's done quite well in this movie, because we get to see him at home. We like see his relationship with his father, who's now in prison, because his father, how do I describe this in a maybe PG? His father was tickling him, Michael Jackson way, if you know what I mean. He was giving him a little and then he went to prison, and this messed up Martin, and Martin's mum is not very happy about this, because she misses her husband, who was yeah, you know what I mean. So he's obviously a little bit unhinged. He's you know, he's a little bit off, let's put it that way. And as we're in Martin's house, it really feels like David Lynch's Rabbits. Like everything just feels off. We know why it feels off, but just the entire dynamic, just everything about the house, the way the house looks, the way he just does things, it's very like cyclical. It's disgusting because he poo-poos in his own bed, and just like seeing him like roll around in his poo and then wake up and look at a massive bucket human centipede, and he starts doing this.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Every time he like it like obviously it feels good for him, so he like watches human centipede and he's like, and I feel like I'm gonna be dreaming about that tonight. So that brings me on to a scene that I hate, and I've been told about this scene, and I was always like, it's hardly going to be that bad. It's hardly going to be that bad. Okay, if you know Human Centipede 2, then you might know about the sandpaper scene. What could a man who really loves this movie and Human Centipede do if it makes him feel good? What could he do with some sandpaper? What could he do with some sandpaper? I can tell you what he can do with some sandpaper. I can't really. So he gets his sandpaper. Okay, let me show you. Let me demonstrate. Look. I don't know if I'm even going to be able to keep that in, but I cannot, it's disgusting because we see everything. And it's not only sandpaper that he uses throughout the movie, he also uses barbed wire towards the end of the movie. But that might be a little bit of a spoiler, but who in the world is watching this and is like, oh my god, I cannot believe you spoiled Human Centipede 2. Listen, this movie is disgusting. At times I really felt like the pacing was a little bit off because we start with this movie and we're like, okay, Martin has this intention, we know what he's going to be doing, and we see the first movie, we see like his thought process, we see how strange and perverted, and just, there's a lot of problems with Martin, obviously. And then for the middle hour of this movie, because as I said, this movie is 90 minutes long, so for 60 minutes of this movie, I really felt like there was just nothing happening. We see his stuff at home, we see him gathering people for his experiment, blah, 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 but nothing really happens. Okay. That's a lie. A few things happen, but I feel like the pace just falls off and I was getting so bored. Is that like appropriate to say? I was getting bored watching an hour of this movie because at the start I was really into it and at the end I was squeamish. And hey, I'm not going to say much about the ending, but the ending, oh my gosh. There are, okay, how do I say this? There's a baby. A newborn baby, and if you remember my reaction to a Serbian film, the baby scene, then you might know how this was the most the ending was insane. And straight after I watched this movie, I was eating mince, some beef mince, and I felt disgusting watching it, and now I'm drinking tea. So the gore was absolutely great whenever it was actually showed, but I feel like at times the movie really relies on the shocking idea rather than showing it, because whenever it shows it, it really works. But for so much of the movie, we're like, oh, okay, he's gathering people, and it does this thing which I'm still not sure if I like it or not. So we see a person and we know he's going to go kidnap them and gather them some way. But the movie so he sees somebody and it just cuts and they're in his warehouse, all like, with the thing on their face, and I don't really want to say it for the video, but we see him in this warehouse getting prepared for the centipede. But it cuts and it does that for so many characters, and I'm not really sure how I felt about that, because half of me really wanted to see how he does this, what is going on in his mind, because he does not hold back whenever it comes to the unaliving. And maybe it was a time thing, maybe they just wanted to save some time for the movie, but I kind of wish I saw that. But this was actually not as bad as a Serbian film. Was it more traumatic? I would say yes, simply because it felt more realistic. Like, this kind of felt like something that could genuinely happen by a guy like Martin. It felt very real. Maybe it's because I live in Ireland, so close to the UK, whatever, and I think maybe I could relate to like the atmosphere and like the characters. Let me just be very clear, I could not relate to all the characters, aka Martin, but I maybe was understanding. You know what I mean. Maybe I just understood the area a little bit more, because a Serbian film was just but this felt more realistic. And I'm not going to say I liked this movie, because I gave this movie a 1 star on Letterboxd, because I felt like it would be weird to give this like 3 stars, but it was quite solid. The story was clear, the intentions were clear, we got a lot of character development, which feels very weird to be saying about Human Centipede 2. I don't want to say this was good, but it was better than a Serbian film. Let's put it that way. I don't know why it's taken me so long to watch this, because I've known about this movie for genuinely like a decade, if not more, but only now I am watching it. And if there are any other disgusting, horrible movies that you would like me to watch and you get some reactions out of me, please let me know, because I would like... I will watch them, I guess. I'm not going to say I would like to watch them, but I will watch them, because I weirdly enjoy making these videos. It is fun and it's interesting. Okay, it's not fun. It's interesting just to compare the movies. Yeah, I'm trying to Yeah. So I think that's everything I have to say about Human Centipede 2. Have you watched Human Centipede 2? What is your opinion on Human Centipede 2? Is it the most disgusting movie you've ever watched, or have you watched something worse? Please tell me, because I would love to know. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Back to drinking fucking tea.